This is One Voice Radio and Media, and today we welcome a couple of special guests into the studio. Heaton's Men's in Sheds. Join us. Thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Okay then, Louise, do you want to ask your question?
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Getting over Christmas and New Year festivities and things like that, but yeah, very well.
Good.
Thinking about whether I should have a New Year's resolution, haven't decided.
Neither have I. We'll maybe come back to that later. Right, okay then, Ashkan, do you want to ask yours, mate?
Can you tell us what Heaton running sheds do?
Well, we are a community group that provides a space for people to do work, mostly woodwork. Men in Sheds is an idea that started in Australia quite a long time ago now, about 10-15 years ago, and is designed to tackle loneliness and isolation principally in older men, but not exclusively in older men. So the idea is that they come together to do projects, and there are hundreds of men in sheds all around the country, all around the world in fact.
Wow.
And each one does the thing in their own way. Our little shed is based in the undercroft of St Paul's Church in Heaton, and most of what we do are community projects. So if you've ever been on Heaton Chapel Station and you've seen the great big black and white signs that say Heaton Chapel and Heaton Moor Station, we built those. We built the planters that you see on the A6. We built all sorts of things for the community. But also people do work for themselves, so they might bring in a piece of furniture they want to repair, or some other project that we want to do. We seem to specialise in church notice boards and notice boards for community groups. I think we've done about a dozen in the last 18 months or so. So we keep very busy with that. But the main idea is that older men who tend not to have a lot of friends have got somewhere to go and feel a bit less isolated. That's the general idea.
Just add, we're all volunteers, and we do actually have a lady member, Dominic.
Good stuff. Right then, is it Sarah? Yeah.
Can you tell us how you got into? Can you tell us how you got into doing what you do?
Well, mine is a very tortuous route. I'm in the photography club as well, and I was trying to. I've got some silver trophies, and one of the arms broke off. So I was trying to find somebody who could solder it back on. So I approached Heaton's Men in Sheds because I found them on the internet. And they said they couldn't do it, but they looked such an interesting organisation and such fun things to do that I joined them. Yeah, because I wanted to give something back to the community, and that, for me, that seemed an opportunity.
Yeah, I was sent by my daughter when I retired from work because she said, "You'll drive me mother mad if you ever." So I ended up at the sheds.
Oh, right. It's happened when my dad retired as well. Right then, Colin, do you want to go for yours, mate?
Yeah.
Okay, so how long
How long?
have you been doing what you do?
What do you do?
And is there any particular reason
Particular reason?
why you decided to start?
Why did you start?
Well, I joined in 2018, which was about 6 months after the Heaton's Men in Sheds had been formed. Yeah. After about a year, I got promoted to secretary, so I've been secretary ever since. Yeah. Mainly because I'm the only one that likes doing paperwork. Although I don't really like doing paperwork, but I like it more than others. Because that's my job involved quite a lot of paperwork before I retired. The particular reason I decided to join, as I mentioned earlier, was to put something back into the community, to give back to society. Now I had plenty of time to do it.
Yeah, that's good. And yourself?
Well, as I say, I was sent by my children because they didn't want my wife to have a heart attack dealing with me all day. Although when we worked together, but on two separate floors in an office. So I joined about a year later in 2019, and we obviously then came into the COVID situation. So we did a lot online for about 9 months.
Yeah.
All sorts of strange quizzes and talks, and we had Zoom talks from people in Australia and in Scandinavia,
France.
yeah.
It became
So,
popular Zoom, didn't it?
Yeah.
During COVID, everyone was on it, weren't they?
but we wrote quizzes. My favourite was the one, can you tell if this is a motorway services or a cheese? So very strangely named cheeses, as there are very strangely named motorway service areas. But it did all become a bit boring towards the end.
Yeah.
We all got a bit
There's only
sick
so
of-
many motorways that are
Absolutely,
interesting.
yeah. We all got a bit sick of Zoom
And quizzes.
and
Yeah.
quizzes.
Yeah, no,
It was a quiz every week, pretty much, weren't it?
Oh,
yeah.
All families and stuff. were
yeah.
We'd have a talk on the Monday and a quiz on the Thursday, I think, roughly what we did.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was me and my mates in lockdown as well. We used to do quizzes and then stopped after about 4 because it got boring after that.
Yeah.
Well, there's only so many questions you can ask.
Everyone was always doing the same questions as well. So everyone was researching the questions, so your question someone else would be saying and all, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Right. Okay, so Matthew, do you want to ask yours, mate?
Okay. If someone wanted to get
Involved.
involved, how would they go about it?
They just come along to one of the meetings. We meet on Mondays afternoons, 1 o'clock, in St Paul's Parish Hall, I think it's called. And then Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. They can look us up on the website and send us a message. They can phone me. Do you want me to give my number?
Yeah, you may as
So
well,
they
yeah.
can phone me 07905 759 003, and I can send them some an outline of what we do. Talk to them about what skills they need, or they don't need any skills really, about what's involved. Yeah, so as I say, easiest way is to phone me.
Yeah. Is it just like an hour sort of session or how long?
No,
does it
no,
go on?
the Monday session is 1 till 5,
1 till 5.
and the Wednesday session is 6 till 9.
Right. Okay.
You need, if you're in a workshop, you need
Yeah.
you can't do it in half an hour. By the time you get all the tools out, and then another half hour to
Yeah.
suck up all the sawdust, you know, you need a fair amount of time
That is fair enough.
to do anything. Oh, and we do a couple of other things. We have a social meeting every other Thursday.
Yeah.
We have day out. We've been to the Avro Museum in Poynton. No, Woodford. Yeah.
Woodford.
What have we been to in Poynton? Oh, the Anson Museum in Poynton.
Oh.
We've been to a brewery trip. Well, I missed that.
Oh,
They tell me-
what a day to
Yeah, they tell me it wasn't very good. I don't know.
Oh, well, no, yeah.
It really wasn't very good.
It
We went to Robinson's.
I did that once, yeah.
But in the good old days, 40 years ago, it was all very interesting, but now it's just big steel tanks.
Big steel
Is
tanks.
that the one in Stockport?
Yeah. I don't think they do it anymore.
Was
I
that
don't
not
think-
shutting down?
Well,
that
it was meant to be moving, wasn't it? But yeah, I don't
They're
think
moving the production
it's a
to.
brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the one already in Bradbury in there?
The bottling's in Bradbury,
Oh
I
yeah.
think they're just moving it all over.
just where you come off the motorway.
You do computers, like basic computer skills as well. That's
Well, we did do, but there doesn't seem to be much demand for that anymore.
right. So
So where we used to meet in the Moor Club on this Thursday evening and help people with any problems with their computers.
Yeah.
And mostly it was, you know, switch it on, switch it on.
sending emails and
And people who were struggling to program a new phone and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I think those things have become much more easy to do, and we just don't get the inquiries for that anymore.
ah,
A lot of
We're
people
also-
look on YouTube, don't they?
That's
it's
right,
easy, yeah. It's fun.
But we also do, we also help sustainable living in the Heatons with their repair cafe.
Alright.
So once a month now, I think we've done 3 so far. There's a repair cafe in the church hall at St Paul's, which is back of the church, where people can bring along small items, and we try and repair them for them
Yeah.
if we can. I mean, we're not always successful.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't very successful at the last meeting. I couldn't fix this radio.
so things like radios, record players, kettles, toasters, all sorts of things, and broken tables and drawers that don't fit anymore, and all sorts of things like that. And there's also people there who look after bicycles if people need bicycles repaired. And there's people who repair clothes. They don't alter them, but if you've got clothes, because obviously sustainable living in the Heatons is about being eco-friendly.
Yeah.
So it's about trying to preserve the environment.
Yeah.
So it's about repairing stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So that's once a month on the third Saturday of the month.
Ah, sounds good.
And then the final thing we do is we have, I call them days on site. If we're doing a notice board, then we're going to have to go to the church and screw it to the posts, or even put the posts in. So we
Very busy.
Yeah, there's quite a lot going on, isn't
so
there?
there's 2 basic meetings, but lots of other times.
Lots of other different events.
And there are days, we're all on a WhatsApp group, and there are other days when key holders will open up. So I don't know if there's anybody there now, but certainly yesterday there were people there from about midday before the 6 o'clock meeting. So,
It's terrible at the moment because the main thing that's going on is people are moving stuff around the shed, so I can't find anything.
which makes a change because he used to move stuff around. And we couldn't find anything, so the tables are turned.
Yeah.
The work's done to quite a high standard then, isn't it? If it's on like station platforms and stuff, it's good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and we try not ever to take on a job that has a deadline. So if somebody says we want this doing by the end of next month, we say no, sorry, we can't guarantee that. We have had a couple of full and frank exchange of views with, particularly with the church that wanted something doing yesterday for nothing.
Yeah.
And it didn't get done until about 3 months' time. So, right away.
No, I've been I've been impressed by the high standard of work we do produce.
Yeah.
It's me that can't cut in a straight line. Everybody else can cut in a straight line.
Of course, we have tried to ameliorate that a bit because we also now have a CNC machine, which is a computer-operated cutting machine, so that we can cut things out by computer.
4 foot square, weighs about 2 tons. It's a big
Not my forte, that. That was terrible.
I can't pick that up.
I bet you can.
You don't have to be good at woodwork, you just have to be good at computers.
I'll probably
Oh,
race.
well, I can do that. Nothing that.
You stick a slab of
Oh, broken brick.
plywood on it and it cuts the shape.
A big chainsaw.
Big chainsaw.
chainsaw we decided was too dangerous for us.
Is it?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, hammer.
and we got plenty of hammers.
Alright then, Chris, do you want to ask yours, mate?
What is the best thing you have repaired during refurbishing?
Well, for me, it was doing the sign on the railway station. It's made up of 3 8 foot by 4 foot boards, so it's 24 feet long. Each letter is about 12 inches high. Each letter was produced separately, and then they were stuck onto the board, and then we painted it all. Yeah, so, and particularly as I happen to do a lot of the design work for that, that's the bit I'm proudest of.
How long did that take?
Well, it took getting on for a year,
Right.
because again we only do an hour, 2 or 3 hours a week. At that time, I think we were only meeting for 1 or 2 hours a week, not 6 hours.
Oh, right, fair enough.
And we have spread out a lot since then. We had what was the old choir room in the Undercroft at St Paul's, but we've now taken over sort of the whole of the cellars, which are no big spaces. They're all quite small spaces, about 6 by 6, I suppose, 8 by 8. So we expanded into those. So we're doing lots more small things, and we've been doing stuff where we've made things to sell. So at Christmas we were selling miniature Christmas trees, all sorts of things like that. So we have changed what we do, and we're just about to do a big job for the local Swift Society, Swift birds.
Oh,
And they want 40 special bird boxes, because Swifts have to have special bird boxes.
Special
So
ones.
they know which one's which. They have to,
Right, I get
have, to
it.
have Swift on the front, so they know.
You know.
That's
So the birds know they can go in.
Yeah. Who's next? So Louise.
Does your company work closely with people with learning difficulties?
Yes and no. We have a couple of members with learning difficulties, but we don't have anybody trained to look after people with learning difficulties. So if people have, and we certainly don't have the facilities to look after people with physical disabilities, because as I say, it's in the undercroft of a church, so it's rough ground and very tight spaces. But certainly people who can handle saws and hammers and that kind of thing, yeah, they're very welcome.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
But just to add, we don't, we welcome
Yeah.
all sorts. There is an issue because we're using electrical tools
Yeah.
and saws. There's got to be a
Yeah,
bit
the
of
risk assessments.
self-reliance on the individual to be able to look after themselves.
Yeah. Right, then Ashkan, do you want to ask yours, mate?
Have you or anyone working there been affected by feeling isolated?
Well, yeah, I mean that's really the whole point of the shed, is to try and tackle isolation. I mean, I worked all my working life with lots of people, and I had lots of colleagues at work. But once you stop work, you really lose touch with those people. And I have two very good friends. One lives in Paisley in Scotland, and one lives in Brisbane in Australia. So, so I don't see them very often. I might see my friend in Australia, I don't know, a couple of times a year, every couple of years.
Yeah.
And I might see my friend from Paisley a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
So I, if I hadn't gone to sheds, I would have been very isolated. I mean, other than sort of neighbours and family,
Yeah.
I didn't really have any other friends. So for a lot of people, it's possible to be isolated and lonely while still knowing lots of people.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of peer group that you miss. It's the people,
Yeah.
you know, your sort of age and your life experiences that you can share.
Pulling your leg when you can't cut in a straight line, for example.
Yeah, it's the little things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Little stuff like that.
So, to emphasise, several of the members have joined us because they have felt isolated.
Yeah.
It's not something we discuss openly.
Yeah, it's just.
We don't start the meeting, you know, I'm Terry Hewitt and I'm socially isolated.
Yeah,
We're not like Alcoholics Anonymous. We tackle it by keeping people busy,
Yeah.
right? So doing a bit of woodwork, a bit of metal work, doing some computing. We've got some computers in the shed, and we've built our own network in the shed and things like that. So it's by keeping people busy. I don't know, attack is the wrong word. We attack their isolation.
Yeah. That probably sounds like the best way to.
And I mean busy in two ways. One is working, and one is talking to other people in the shed. You know, interaction.
I mean, it sounds like we do a lot of work. We do, but we do drink a lot of tea as well.
So do we.
Yeah.
Don't we? Drink a lot of tea, a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
Still do something.
Yeah, we had a disaster.
Caffeine.
Hot chocolate.
Caffeine.
No chocolate.
Everything.
We had a disaster last night. The guy who makes the tea didn't turn up.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh, is he just a designated tea maker?
He decided
Is
he would.
he the best?
Well, he decided that's what his contribution
Fair
would
enough.
be.
Good contribution.
Yeah, and when you come along to the shed, your contribution can be in many forms.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I'm secretary, most of my contribution is at home on the computer with emails and things, right?
Yeah.
Some people come to the shed and just talk. Some people come to the shed and obviously do quite a lot of hard work.
Right then, Sarah.
What would you say if someone feels isolated?
What do you want to try again?
Isolated in the community.
Well, to try and join a group of some kind, like this, or like sheds, or anything where you can get to talk to people. Certainly one of the things about the shed is that people, although they will sit and talk over a cup of tea, they also talk when they're stood next to each other, not looking at each other. So it's this kind of strange thing where people, if they're being driven anywhere, we'll have some quite interesting conversations because they don't look at each other. People can find it quite difficult if they're isolated to actually look people in the eye. So they stand next to each other. So they're still at a bench doing some work. They're not looking at each other. So it can be quite useful if you're in a group that is able to do that. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience of it, but I'm told the same thing happens with hairdressers. They don't, you don't look at each other, you're tending to look at the mirror.
Yeah.
So people tell their hairdressers all sorts of personal things because they're not looking at each other.
I do like that whole philosophy though of not mentioning or bringing up anything about isolation, and the fact that you think sometimes when you sit in a big circle and discuss your problems you can feel worse. So I like that philosophy.
So that, as I say, there's nothing in our meeting
that
particularly addresses, as I say, we don't have, this is the social isolation system.
Yeah, this is how
we just talk about the projects we're doing, we talk about what's next and who's got to do what. And as John says, when people are in one of the cubbyholes working on something, they may open up to each other. Yeah. And at the moment, we're very lucky, everybody has kept what they've heard confidential. So it's not, nobody's broadcasting it on the internet, which is quite good.
That's good, yeah, we can keep that. Right then, Matthew, do you want to ask yours, mate?
Yeah. What your, sorry.
It's alright.
Take your time.
What are your plans moving forward?
Well, I think they change depending on who's running the show and what the latest flavour is. I mean, ideally, we'd like to be in a big open space so we could set all our machinery out. We're not short of resources. Lots of people donate tools to us, and we get grants from all sorts of places. But space is a bit of a premium, and as you know, in the Heatons, property's not cheap. We're very lucky in that the church look after us from a point of view of providing accommodation. So I think bigger premises would be great, but I don't think it's really on the agenda.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is to find more things to do.
Yeah.
There are lots of community projects, but we're just in the process of writing to local community groups to see if there are things that we want to do. One of the things that our founders emphasised was that we shouldn't do jobs that would take work away from local businesses. So we won't go to somebody's house and put up a set of shelves or build the IKEA furniture or whatever it is. We try to do things that are community based that probably wouldn't get done from a financial point of view if somebody had to do them. I mean, we've just built a very posh notice board for Merseyvale Country Park, which has probably cost, I think, about £1,000 in oak. But the cost of the time to do it would have probably been another £2,000. So it wouldn't have got done. So we try and do projects like that are the benefit of other people.
Yeah.
Where the benefit is that, I think the thing is, if individuals approach us, to clarify what John was saying, we tend to say no.
Yeah.
Not always, but we tend to say no.
Yeah.
Do you try and get like donations and stuff?
Yeah. How, is it all just donations?
Well, most projects, the people who we do the project for, they usually pay for the materials. I think
right. Okay.
Who haven't been able to afford the materials. But we do get quite a lot of grants. We've had grants from Manchester Airport Group, Lottery Commission, Transpennine Express, Co-op, Tesco, Asda.
Yeah, I did see the Co-op one actually on the website.
Asda. I can't remember any others, John, can you?
At the local...
Auto Trader, isn't it?
Auto Trader, the local action fund that the councillors look after. So there's all sorts of...
Really big establishments then, aren't they?
Yeah, bits of money that come in. I would say, because, as Terry said, most of the jobs we do, the people pay for the materials. So we volunteer our time, obviously. So apart from buying tools, we don't have a lot of expenditure.
Yeah, because the church is very generous with with the space.
The space,
which they couldn't use for anything else.
Yeah.
But so that's the way we tend to run.
Brilliant. I think that's it for the main questions. Chris has just got one more to ask.
Is there anything you would like to ask us?
Yeah, I'd like to know what you do here, how you do it, who comes, who pays for it, etc.
Yeah, well, obviously, Reese explained a bit before the interview. These guys, we have our own radio show, goes up every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We have a 20-minute slot for all these guys' work to come in. So, good example, Chris over here. You want to tell them what you do, Chris?
I do a piece on Stockport County. It's called Chris Gibson's County Corner. I do match reports and what have you on how they played and what have you.
Yeah, he does that weekly. He does his own match reports, and hoping in the future, obviously, if County recognise that, then you never know what might happen. But he does that consistently every week, and he works really hard on it. Sarah over here has been here for 11 years, or 12 years, 12 years now, sorry. And she's done all sorts. You've pretty much been at radio the whole time, haven't you, since it's been around. She's done all sorts. She's been here, there, everywhere, and meeting famous people like Will Mellor, or what was it that you met? You met a couple of people from Corrie, didn't you, one year, and then you've had like MPs, we've had MPs in here,
and now she's met us.
And now she's running sheds. But yeah, and then obviously
we do a lot really, don't we? We try and get out and about, visit different places, see different things, go on trips, don't we?
Yeah, we've done a couple more now, haven't we? Because COVID halted all that completely. So we've done a couple. We took a trip to Media City recently with the guys. Yeah, they all had a look at ITV and stuff like that, and then I think we've got one coming up in March because I contacted John Barrett, who runs Foodie Friday.
Harry,
we're going to do a Stockport Music Map tour. Yes, Chris.
Sorry to butt in. Is any news on that trip to visit the ITV studio?
Not as of yet, but we will. We'll still need to figure out some stuff out. Me and Reese will have a chat about that eventually. But yeah, then.
I'm really enjoying going to the ITV studios and little tour around it.
Yeah, we had a little look, but we couldn't go into the full building and see it. So that's the aim next, get a proper tour. And do any of you guys have anything else you want to talk about that you like doing at Pure? Obviously, they do a couple other projects.
It's like a charity. It's a charity funded, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the lottery.
Lottery Commission.
I think they fund Vernon, don't they?
So they have loads of different. It's not just like this building here, for example, has 3 different projects. It has a radio, an animation studio downstairs, and an art room. But we also have Vernon Cafe. You've been to Vernon before, Vernon Park?
I know of it.
So in the Vernon Cafe we'll have a ceramics room upstairs, we'll have an art room upstairs, a shop downstairs, and we also have like park wardens, so people go around the park, litter pick, etc.
Yeah, there's lots of cafes.
They have cafes, they have...
St Chad's, one of the cafes that we have in Handforth, is also provided by a church, which is pretty similar.
We have a cafe in
have a similar
Poynton.
concept of donations and stuff like that. But we do have a wood shack, but that's in Oldham. That's like a different kind of branch, but that's really successful. But yeah, there's I can't remember how many projects there is.
There's Everode Park, so at the parks we can have different arts projects, cafes. There's lots of cafes, isn't there? There's a cafe in Poynton as well, in the church there in Poynton.
And how do people come? How do they?
People we're quite vocal on social media. Right. The YouTube channel that this interview will go up on, things like that. It's just a word of mouth thing a lot of the time. I think people, families and friends tell other people. How many do we have in Stockport?
We must have about 300 and something clients.
300 and something here, and then Oldham have 160.
And how often do you come? Do you come every day or?
It's a day service, half eight till 4 o'clock. We're here 5 days a week.
So like for example today, let's say today we've got 12 people in. Yeah, somebody might do a different project tomorrow. They might do Vernon Park tomorrow and just attend the radio 1 day a week, even though the project's running 5 days a week. Sarah does a couple of days, don't you, Sarah? So she'll come 2 days to the radio. She does another project elsewhere. Some people just come. It's entirely up to them what they want. People can, because there's that many different projects, people can spend time doing one project and then they might switch and fancy something else, but it just depends. You can get some people that there's a Lego project, people want to be there quite a lot, isn't there? It just depends really.
There's just a lot going on.
There's
plenty of opportunities. But
we've recently had a pop-up shop, haven't we, in the centre of Stockport, Mersey Shopping Centre. We had a pop-up shop that came. We've got that again in February. So
we've done that with Heaton's Post.
Yeah.
Do you ever appear in that? Have you done
I don't think we have. No, we normally do it in the Mersey in Stockport.
No. Heaton's Post is a community newspaper. Have you never been featured in that?
No, we do a newsletter. We do what we do. We have a newsletter for everybody in the service, because it's not just support. It has we have different colleges. We have like travel training. We have a mental health team. It's a massive business. The support side, the day service is just a small section of what Pure actually does. But they produce the newsletter, but we could show you that and you have a look at the newsletter sometime if you want and email it over.
Yeah. Well, I'm a photographer on the as well.
Brilliant.
And mainly because when I'm interviewed, my brain goes blank.
Yeah.
I brought all these photos in case you asked me about things we've done, so I could.
Oh, brilliant!
You can have a look through them after.
You can have a look at those. Do be careful because some of them were a bit loose.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to re-glue that one.
We'll have a look again. But anyway, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
That was a great interview. And what you do sounds excellent. And I think in ways I think we're quite similar in why we do it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure meeting you all.